Is it bad that whenever I hear the words Order of the Phoenix, I just think of Dumbledore's bird Fawkes sitting in a restaurant ordering himself some food? Alright YouTube, it's me Kieran, and welcome back to my YouTube channel where we are continuing the series where I point out all of the things that you missed whilst watching the Harry Potter films. If you haven't already seen the previous 4 videos, go check them out on my channel and subscribe so you don't miss any future ones. Now enough of me blabbering on, let's take a look at the things that you missed whilst watching Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix. When Harry, Ron and Hermione are discussing Harry's kiss with Cho, all 3 of them begin to crack up with laughter near the end of the scene. This was in fact all real laughter from the cast members, and director David Yates decided to keep it in because he thought it was good for the scene. There are many recognisable faces in the photo of the Order of the Phoenix that Sirius gives to Harry, including James, Lily, Lupin, Sirius, Dumbledore, Moody and Hagrid. But 2 of the lesser known characters are actually played by actors that we know very, very well. Fabian and Gideon Pruitt, the brothers of Molly Weasley on the far left, are actually played by James and Oliver Phelps, the actors who play Fred and George Weasley. So if Molly named Fred and George after Fabian and Gideon, then she actually named them after themselves. I mean, no wonder she gets them mixed up so often. Though not actually seen in the film, the code that Mr. Weasley uses in the phone box to get them to the Ministry of Magic is 62442, which on a telephone spells out the word magic. When Mad Eye and the rest of the Aurors turn up at Privet Drive, Harry questions what they are all doing there, to which Moody responds,
Professor Moody, what are you doing here?
Rescuing you, of course.
This is just like another scene in the Chamber of Secrets where Ron turns up to the Dursleys' house in his dad's flying car.
Ron, Fred, George, what are you all doing here?
Rescuing you, of course. Now come on, get your trunk.
The old man with the goat that is seen when Harry, Ron and Hermione enter the Hog's Head may only be credited as Barman, but he is in fact Aberforth Dumbledore. Aberforth was played by an actor called Jim McManus in this film before being recast as Kieran Hines for the Deathly Hallows Part 2. And shout out to Kieran Hines for not only doing an awesome job as Aberforth Dumbledore, but also having one hell of a name. In the first of these Things You Missed videos, I criticised the Dursleys for having a car that wasn't actually around during the time the movie was set in. Well, it looks like they're back at it again, as this time Petunia can be seen watching a programme on a flat screen TV, but that does not make sense because this film is set in 1995 and flat screen TVs did not come about until the mid-2000s. That's not the only thing out of place in this film, as in the Gryffindor common room the song Boys Will Be Boys can be heard playing 10 years before it was actually released in 2005. Muggles might eat Cheerios for their breakfast, but as we know, wizards have all sorts of their own types of food. That's not to say that they didn't take inspiration from the Muggles, as on the table in the Great Hall, a box of Cheeriowls can be seen, and it even has a little animated owl on it. Arthur Weasley may have struggled with using the trains in the London Underground, but at least he's not as dumb as the man in the brown coat with the newspaper who felt the need to go through the turnstiles twice. Through the turnstiles twice, how's that for alliteration? During his first night's sleep at Hogwarts that year, Harry has a nightmare about Voldemort. At the start of the scene, Harry is laying in bed in a light blue t-shirt, but when he wakes up, he is suddenly wearing a dark blue shirt with buttons. Unless Ron maybe changed his shirt while he was sleeping, he did have a pretty guilty look on his face when Harry woke up. Do you reckon Ron just sits up at night watching Harry sleep? Because he seems to always be awake when Harry's sleeping.
Harry talks in his sleep. Have you noticed?
No, of course not.
In the first occlumency lesson taught by Snape, the window behind Harry has a vertical bar going down the middle of it. But when the camera pans out through the window, there is suddenly no bar to be seen, so somebody clearly made it disappear, right? My guess is Mrs. Weasley. She seems to be an expert on the subject.
Well, you best hope I don't put bars on your window, Ronald Weasley.
When Harry asks the DA members, how do we get to London, Luna responds by saying, we fly, of course. This is a reference to the 1953 version of Peter Pan, where Peter tells Wendy how to get to the Neverland.
But Peter, how do we get to Neverland?
Fly, of course.
Fly?
In the past, I may have criticised Daniel Radcliffe for struggling with some of the more emotional moments throughout the films. But I guess I have to admit that I was wrong, because the reason that Harry's reaction to Sirius's death is muted is because David Yates thought it was just far too agonising. In fact, it was said to be so agonising that it caused Emma Watson, Bonnie Wright and Helena Bonham Carter to cry. And if you can make Bellatrix Lestrange cry with the reaction to your godfather's death, you must be one hell of an actor. Especially when she's the one that killed him. And that's it for today's list. If there was anything on there that you didn't know about the film, make sure you leave a like on this video and comment telling me what your favourite scene of this film was. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Instagram. The links are in the description below. That's all from me for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Think fast. So when they ask Luna how they're going to get to London, she replies by saying, "We fly, of course." And when they asked Sirius what he was going to do once he got to London, he replied by saying, "We die, of course." I'm sorry, that's going to upset quite a lot of people.